Life, episode 62. This week marks the first review of sort of the fall movie season. Now, summer movie season is over, that's usually the time for the blockbusters, but the fall, starting in September, begins sort of the Oscar award season movies, the ones that the studios are hoping will get big critical praise and a lot of award nominations. So it should come as no surprise that the first big movie of September is a Vin Diesel art house picture called Riddick. It's the third in a series starring this character, which he's, the first one was Pitch Black. This is almost like a reboot of Pitch Black. The next one was The Chronicles of Riddick. And let me just tell you, I watched the first two, knowing this movie was coming out. I watched the first two on Netflix and or Amazon Prime, one of those fucking things taking over the world. They both sucked. They're both horrible movies, but I kind of realized why Vin Diesel became sort of a superstar, because he was much younger in those movies. Very buff, very unique looking, not a very good actor, not a ton of charisma, but it was just his physical presence, I guess, made him a star. This movie, I'll give him a backhanded compliment. This movie is probably the second best Vin Diesel movie I've ever seen. The first, if you don't remember, is Saving Private Ryan, obviously by a mile. He was in that for about 10 minutes. Other than that, I've pretty much thought most of his movies are complete shit. And this one is not complete shit. It's a rumbling in the stomach, like shit is on its way, but it never comes because it's not terrible, because it knows what it is, which is basically Riddick for the umpteenth time is stranded mysteriously on a planet. He's a runaway fugitive because he's wanted for murder, but of course he has some, not a heart of gold, but as always manages to be the least of all evils in a movie. And bounty hunters come to capture him. The plot is irrelevant to the movie, and it's a very cleverly designed thing, because what each of these movies does, what Pitch Black and this one do, is basically he's stranded, and then somebody hunts him down, and then there's creatures coming after them. But it ends up being filmed like mostly in like two spaces. So it's one of those deceptively cheap movies to film, I think, because the CGI isn't even that good. But for some reason, this movie was solid for what it was trying to be. So I would give it, if I were grading it on like any movie scale, I'd give it a C-, because it's not a good movie. But it does what it's supposed to, which is there's some tension, there's some good action. The special effects are kind of weak, and Vin Diesel is better in this movie than I think he was in the previous two, and I apologize for the construction if that's coming through. So I'm going to give the overall grade a B/B-, because what it's trying to be is like a B+. It's pretty good at what it wants to be, but as a movie it's really nothing serious to be taken, and it's not particularly well acted, and whatever. But there's nothing else coming out, unless you're a J.D. Salinger documentary fan, which, judging from my audience, you probably aren't. See this for a matinee price, no more. Do not spend full price on this movie, I warn you. But for a matinee with low expectations, you'll leave the theater moderately satisfied. Okay, so that's it. Next week, I'll be reviewing, I think, Insidious 2, another surefire Oscar nominee horror movie. I'm just kidding, but hopefully it's scary. Okay, that's it. Have a good week. Talk to you next Friday. Bye.
Wanna get the feeling, gotta get the feeling, gonna get the feeling once again. Wanna get the feeling, gotta